Hey, everybody, this is Ron Johnson, and this is Locked On Sports Minnesota. Thank you guys for joining us. Whoever's watching on YouTube, tell a friend. Tell them jump on YouTube. Locked On Sports is live right now. Myself, Sam Ekstrom, Reggie Wilson, Julia Daniels, both from Care 11. And Sam Ekstrom, you guys know, he's a producer, the executive producer, the marketing guy. He does it all. And, of course, I'm Ron Johnson, your host of the Friday Roundtable. And this is the Roundtable where we just talk about everything going on in Minnesota sports, maybe national sports, maybe some drama going on in national media. No, we're not going to talk about that. But we got a lot to talk about coming up in just a minute, and we'll do that after this.
This is the Locked On Sports Minnesota Roundtable, your favorite podcast personalities along with Care 11 sports reporters weighing in on the hottest topics. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, if you're watching on Roku, Amazon Fire, if you're listening on SiriusXM, you're missing out on seeing us, SiriusXM people, but we thank you for downloading the app. We thank you for listening. If you are on wherever you get your podcast, thank you as well. But you never know. You might want to jump on YouTube because every once in a while, something funny happens. A cat jumps on Julia's head. A doorman rings Reggie's bell. We just don't know what's going to happen on the show. But I'm your host, Ron Johnson. We got Reggie Wilson joining us from Care 11. We got Julia Daniels joining us from Care 11 and Sam Ekstrom, the producer, my co-host of the Ron Johnson Show as well. And I'm Ron Johnson, your host, former Gophers wide receiver. But you know what? We got to get locked in on these topics, people. There's a lot to talk about in Minnesota sports and national sports. So with no further ado, take it away, Reggie.
Vikings hosting the 49ers. They are 1-1 under Kevin O'Connell on home openers. I got a bold prediction.
And what was the most sustainable from the Vikings 28-6 win over the Giants? I've got an opinion on that.
And if we have time for it, we'll talk Twins. If they sneak into the playoff and if they can win a game in the playoff.
And if you like to bet, you probably live in the state of Nevada. Nevada is coming to town. Yes, Nate Burleson's old stopping grounds. They're coming to Minnesota. The Wolfpack is on the way. The Gophers got bumped to 2:30 p.m. I mean, you win, you get the better game times. And we're going to talk about that game and what to expect. Can we see much more of Max Brosmer? Or are we going to see much less of Max Brosmer? Which Max is going to, well, the real Max Brosmer, please stand up. But also want everybody to know, today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Just download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. And remember, download the Game Time app today because what time is it? Game time. Game time. There you go, Sam. Next time, we're going to get Julia Reggie. Let's try this. I want everybody, like Ray Lewis. Everybody's going to get in on this one because you need to download the Game Time app today because what time is it?
Game time!
It's game time.
There we go.
Terrible time.
Ray Lewis would hate you guys.
We got some delay issues going on.
Is there any dogs in the house? Roo, 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 roo. Is there any dogs in the house? Roo, 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 roo. For those who remember the Ray Lewis celebration. But again, all the topics we talked about, people, we could be talking about Justin Jefferson. Jamar Chase turned down $140 million. There's so much going on. But can this Minnesota Vikings team do what they did last week? Sam, take it away.
Yeah, let's start our 49ers heavy show by kind of turning the page backward just to look at that Giants game one more time. 28-6 win. I would say that Vikings Nation is considerably higher on this team after 1 week than I ever thought they would be. At most, I expected a win, maybe an ugly win, maybe a close win. It was a forceful win. It was a convincing win. They embarrassed the New York Giants. If you listen to any New York sports talk this week, look at what you did, Vikings. You demoralized them. They are angry. They are furious. Kind of a good feeling, actually. You had the fans booing. But what is going to carry over? Because it's not always going to be that easy. It's not always going to be that good. What can be sustainable from that Vikings-Giants win? The defense, the pass game, the run game. I tend to think that the run game can be sustainable with Aaron Jones. This is the best back the Vikings have had, I would say, since 2021 Dalvin, 2020 Dalvin, when he was really in his prime. I think the first couple of years of the Kevin O'Connell era, it's been lackluster. Dalvin was a bit diminished in 2022, a little banged up. Alexander Mattison didn't work out last year. This is the best running back Kevin O'Connell has had. The way that Aaron Jones looked, and I think I read he only got something like 27 snaps in the game, like really wasn't on the field that much and made a huge impact in those snaps. 14 carries, 94 yards, couple of catches, scored a touchdown, hard yards too, late in the game. That makes me think the Vikings playing with a lead could be a very safe proposition if they've got Aaron Jones to grind down defenses, convert first downs, extend drives late in games, because he's fresh, because they don't overuse him. They don't give him 30 carries like Joe Mixon got. All he needs is 15, and he can touch 100 yards. I think this run game could be the real deal. And speaking of which, Ty Chandler, the change of pace guy, seemed kind of like a perfect complement. I love what he offers when he's on the field. I think it's a perfect role for him, playing he's the B and Aaron Jones is the A running back. I think it's a perfect hierarchy. So I like this running game. I think that can carry over.
Yeah, when you look at the game and the boos we speak of, Daniel Jones, if you guys have not gone to Instagram or Twitter or just the internet, walking to his car got booed by his own fans. Probably some family members of other players, because that was the player's exit where the family waits too. So might have been some teammates, family members mad too, like Malik Neighbors' family. Like, dude, you got to go because my son is going to get killed and will not have a great rookie season. But Julia, sustainable. When you think about the Minnesota Vikings, that was an absolute domination. Brian Flores took the foot off the pedal in the third quarter. Is he going to be able to do that against the 49ers?
You said Brian Flores?
Brian Flores' defense. Yeah, he took the foot off the pedal in the third quarter. Like, if you look at the first, like, because Sam, you had a stat, right? Sam Darnold was under pressure more than Daniel Jones was, which means Brian Flores did not do what he normally does, which is one of the top 3 rush rates or pressure rates in the NFL. He took the foot off the pedal. First 2 quarters, he kind of like went after him. Third quarter, went after him. Fourth quarter or middle of the third quarter, felt like, look at him. Oh, let's stop it.
Yeah. They kind of let him get all the yards up to about the 20-yard line, and then they decided, okay, they're in the red zone. We'll play some defense.
So what do you think, Julius, is sustainable? Can Brian Flores do what he did? Can he dominate Brock Purdy the way he did? And then also, can, like Sam said, Aaron Jones, can this offense keep going the way they went?
I mean, this is it's hard to compare the Giants and the 49ers, right? So we don't really know what's sustainable yet, but I will say I would imagine they would keep the pressure on Brock Purdy a little bit more than they do Daniel Jones, unless Brock Purdy just has a complete mental breakdown or he gets hurt or something like that. You know what I think is sustainable? We talked finally, Reggie, yesterday we talked to Andrew Van Ginkel in the locker room. He is such a cool, calm, collected guy. And when I asked him about, what your awareness on the field and where that comes from and just KOC had so much praise for him on Wednesday. I think he just downplays who he is and what he's capable of. And I think that we're going to see that consistently week to week should he, stay healthy or whatever. But he was just like, I mean, it's just experience. That's why I'm so aware. And Kevin O'Connell talked about just like, not only does Andrew Van Ginkel understand what Brian Flores wants from him, but he understands the intent behind every single thing that they do on defense. And I mean, we talked about it a lot last year where it was like guys were they were having a hard time getting a grip on this defense that Brian Flores wanted and the scheme that he wanted to play. And it seems like Andrew Van Ginkel has just like picked it up like nobody's business. And we saw that last week. So I think that something that will be sustainable this year is just constant play from Sunshine himself. I think we're going to see a lot from him this season. And I think we'll see, I'm hoping we'll see something very similar to what we saw last week, this week against the 49ers.
And speaking of sustainability, Reggie, so Sam Darnold wins the duel. He beats Daniel Jones. So slayed that first one. Somebody needs to make that graphic. Like, just have Sam Darnold walk down the line and start killing, like Mortal Kombat style, killing each quarterback he plays. I don't know if you guys have seen this argument now on Instagram and Twitter, but Stephen A. Smith And Dan Orlovsky got into it because Dan Orlovsky actually likes Sam Darnold. I think Dan Orlovsky just really loves Kevin O'Connell. I think he hopes maybe one day Kevin O'Connell will make him his offensive coordinator or something if he decides to, or ESPN asks him to leave. I think he wants to stay in Kevin O'Connell's hip pocket, which I think Dan Orlovsky be good. But he loves Kevin O'Connell because he praised Kirk Cousins. He praised, now he's praising Sam Darnold. Stephen A. Smith said, Sam Darnold is trash. He's a virus. You know what happens to viruses. You get around people and everybody gets sick. And Dan Orlovsky's rebuttal is, but also when you get around people, that sickness can get healed because Kevin O'Connell is doing it. Because he's like, what happens when you're around a lot of people? You become them. And it's like, well, why would everybody become Sam Darnold? Like if they were already fine, he's not a virus like he's a Stephon Diggs. Nothing gets Diggs. But we know like he's a big personality and it always wears on people sometimes. But my point, Reggie, is the way he played, everybody's saying Kevin O'Connell, or at least ESPN and those quarterback gurus are saying Kevin O'Connell did this. Do you think he can outplay Brock Purdy this weekend? Is that sustainable to continue to outplay his quarterbacks?
Yeah, I can see it. And I think it's because of this. Julia brought up Andrew Van Ginkel. I think he's just like a prototype player for Brian Flores. Like if he could draw up a guy, like I feel like he would draw up like 5 or 6 Andrew Van Ginkels. And so here's the thing. They had 5 sacks and 2 interceptions against the Giants. I think what is sustainable from that, because the DBs really weren't tested. We kind of went into this season just kind of wondering like, okay, they did beef it up, signing Stephon Gilmore, but okay, what are they going to do when they are tested? And they really didn't get tested much in the pass game on Sunday. I think things are going to get tested against the Niners. But what is interesting is, Grenard, he had 5 pressures, didn't fully get home for a sack. We saw Dallas Turner get his first sack. I think what is sustainable is this pass rush and just how disruptive that they are. We saw last year in the game, Brock Purdy threw 2 interceptions to the Vikings. It was a performance nobody was expecting last year when they played on Monday night. And we saw the Vikings kind of give the Niners their best punch, and the Niners really couldn't punch back much. And it was like, wow, like all that we saw from Brock Purdy, it seems like that Brian Flores defense really had him confused last year. And so if that is something that keeps up this year with some of the guys that he has in there, I think he feels a little bit more comfortable running his stuff with the personnel that he has now. I think that it is conceivable to think that Sam Darnold can outplay Brock Purdy because they're going to keep that pressure turned up on him. I think it's a luxury when you start off with Van Ginkel and Grenard, and then you can rotate. Pat Jones had 2 sacks on Sunday. You can rotate Pat Jones and Dallas Turner in there as well, 2 other fresh guys to keep the pressure on with the pass rush. And Van Ginkel can kind of do a little bit of everything. If he wants to rush, he can, but he can drop as well, and he can read the quarterback's eyes and pick off screen passes. Like they have something going and they have something brewing. I think this is a really good chess match between the offensive genius that is Kyle Shanahan and then the defensive mastermind that is Brian Flores. Like I think it's going to be a really interesting situation. We saw the Giants not really have a whole lot going on as far as the run game. That's probably going to change whether or not Christian McCaffrey is in there or not. I think that's going to be some pressure that the Niners put on the Vikings defense, and specifically that front 7, challenging them. They had 180 yards on the ground against the Jets. So that to me just feels like just a ultimate chess match, but I'm excited to see it play out on Sunday.
So for me, I'll be quick with this. Yes, it's sustainable. Here's where I look at this too. Last year, this time of the year, the 49ers walked into US Bank Stadium. It feels like it's the same thing. Like a man walks into a bar. A man leaves a bar on Sunday. He returns on Sunday. How did it happen? Does anybody know?
The horse's name is Sunday.
Yes, there you go, Sam. Julia's like, what? You dad jokes. Total yards, Vikings won that 452 to 325. Passing yards, Vikings won that 378 to 260. Rushing yards, Vikings won that 74 to 65. First downs, Vikings won that. Third down efficiency, Vikings won that. Total plays, Vikings. Time of possession, 35 minutes to 25 minutes. Now, here's the thing. We do know last year they were without, what was it? Debo and Trent Williams were hurt, right? Is that the two? And Christian McCaffrey?
Right.
So they were
Christian McCaffrey was in that game.
he was in that game.
Play, yeah, he had 15 carries for 45
Debo
yards.
and Trent Williams. So you add Debo Williams, you add Trent Williams, you add Debo Samuels, you add Trent Williams. You remove Christian McCaffrey because I'm guessing he's not going to play, even though the 49ers want to lie and set up Vegas for failure. If he doesn't play, you're kind of still removing a weapon. Brandon Ayuk, I mean, he said he knows he had a terrible game. Michael Irvin went off on Brandon Ayuk, saying you need to be in training camp. Peyton Manning went off on Brandon Ayuk during the telecast, saying you need to be in training camp. Like catching passes from a 35-year-old quarterback at your high school is not going to help you get ready for catching passes from there. He said, I'm taking the Vikings. Our defense is going to make it tough for the Niners. Jared, how do you say that last name, Sam? Pribble?
Yes. I don't know. It's a fan watching. Thanks, Jared.
So Jared says that he's taking the Vikings because of their defense. So I agree with that. Here's why I say this. They stymied that offense with Daniil Hunter, DJ Brown, really good rush ins, but not true outside linebackers. You give this guy, like Julia brought up, Andrew Van Ginkel. You give this guy Blake Cashman. You got Ivan Pace Jr., who now is a year older and understands. You got Stephon Gilmore over there. You got Byron Murphy. You got the newly signed. Like, I don't know if you know what it feels like to get $19 million, 13 guaranteed. Keep your eye on Harrison Phillips. That, like, playing with that money is a different type of freedom. Like, that's like, I'm going to smack you in the mouth because if they fine me $1,000, that's nothing. That's nothing. I will throw $1,000 at you just to punch you in the mouth. Like, I'm looking forward to seeing him play free, footloose, and carefree. Like, he is going to be an absolute problem because he's going to be amped up. Then you got Aaron Jones, who's ready for the skull chant. Like, he's been practicing the skull chant. He said when he was on the other sideline, it's almost like he said they had to ignore the skull chant, which is also great to hear from an opponent, but they had to ignore it because it's like, man, this is loud. This is cool. Like, nobody does this before a game. It's kind of like the Badgers and doing jump around. That's why PJ Fleck jumps around with them, because like, you can't ignore it. Let's just join it. And Aaron Jones was like, I wish I could have skull chanted, but I remember what happened to Sean Payton. Nothing good happens if you skull chant and mock it. But Aaron Jones is going to be skull chanting. It's going to be loud. All the TV crews are going to be there. Like, it is going to be one of those games. So can it be sustainable? Yes, I think it can be. I think this defense is just as good. I think Sam Darnold has the magic touch that Kevin O'Connell has given him. And I think the Vikings are going to have this done. But now we got to get bold predictions, though, people. So this game, there's a lot of stuff you can lean on. We had some bold predictions last time. We also had some FanDuel locks. We're gonna go over our FanDuel locks. For those keeping score at home, Sam was 4-1. He took Jones rushing yards 60 plus, 70 plus, 80 plus, 90 plus, 100 plus. Wait, what? You took all of those?
Yeah, I recommended take every single Aaron Jones rushing prop.
So you kind of did the additional prop with a prop. Oh, look at you.
I stacked them. I stacked them on top
so
of each other.
So he didn't get the 100, but he got the 90. So you kind of got, I feel like 60, 70, 80, and 90 is one. But we're not going to call Sam out on that, people. He's taking all the props. That's like doing extra credit the teacher didn't ask for. Like, hey, I'm going to turn in my cited sources. This source came from Julia Dams at Care 11. I would like to make sure I cite that. Like, I didn't ask for your sources, sir. But can I get extra credit? No. But then you look at Reg. He was 1-0. He hit the Jefferson anytime touchdown. I hit the Daniel Jones under, but I missed the Sam Darnold over by a smidgen. You little minx, you. Throw the ball some more. But we're going to talk about the FanDuel locks and our bold predictions for the 49ers Vikings. But we'll do that all after a word from our sponsor.
And that sponsor today is Game Time. I'm looking at the Game Time app right now, and their new feature, Game Time Picks, giving me the best ticket options for the Twins tonight against the Reds. Byron Buxton's return. Get in the door for $27. Or look at Gophers, Nevada tomorrow. This is awesome. Lower level seats for under $30. That's incredible. At beautiful Huntington Bank Stadium on a beautiful Saturday afternoon. You can't beat it. You can't beat Game Time. They're curating the best offers for you, giving you super deals, not just on sports, but concerts, comedy, and theater as well. Toggle on the all-in pricing feature so there's no hidden fees. get views from your seat, nice little panoramics, and you've got the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time.
What time is it? Game time. That's what I need from you guys next week. You gotta hit it all together. What time is it? Game time. Yeah, see, there you go.
Yes, sir.
So let's jump into these bold predictions. Reggie, take it away.
All right. I don't know if you guys saw, but this week, 49ers cornerback Deommodore Lenoir said that he and Sam Darnold have a connection.
Oh, I saw this.
He said that
Bulletin board material.
He said that Sam Darnold threw him the ball a lot. And he's looking forward to renewing that connection again on Sunday. I say that Sam Darnold hears that, and like MJ, he takes that personally. Against his former team, I know the scheme is different because they had Steve Wilkes last year as defensive coordinator for this matchup, but he knows pretty much what guys are trying to do. We asked him about that this week. He knows how difficult, guys like Fred Warner and Bosa and that secondary is. Not really sure if Tafanga is going to play or not yet, but he knows the type of dudes that they have and just how disruptive they made it for Aaron Rodgers and the Jets to get anything going in rhythm on offense on Monday. And so I think that Sam takes that personally, what Lenoir said, and he throws for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in the 49ers' face.
Wow. 303 from Darnold. That sounds like a Vikings win that Reggie's predicting. I like that a lot. I'm going to go more on the defensive side. I am looking at the 49ers against the Jets. 180 collective rushing yards for the 49ers, led by Jordan Mason, 28 carries, 147, averaged over 5 yards a carry. I watched back all the Jordan Mason carries, by the way. I wanted to get a feel for, all right, did he get it all at once? Was it one of those where he had a 70-yard run and then he kind of nickeled and dimed his way to 147? No, I think they were pretty legit yards. They're tough yards. His vision seems to be the secret sauce. He just knows where the cutback lanes are. He knows where to hit the line of scrimmage where he's going to have the best chance. He's shifty. I think he's a legit back. That being said, I think the Vikings hold San Francisco under 100 yards rushing as a team in this game. I loved the Vikings run defense in game one. I feel like their linebackers, if you think about Metellus, who's kind of a linebacker, Ivan Pace, obviously flying to the football, Blake Cashman, big force in the middle. They've got so many players that flock to the ball that I think they're going to be a tough run defense all year. And I like them in this game against the 49ers, stifling the run. So the 49ers will be held under 100 yards rushing in this game. They're going to force Brock Purdy to beat them with his arm.
I think we don't give enough credit to Byron Murphy Jr. He led the team in tackles last week, 8 of them solo. My bold prediction for this week is that he'll lead the team in tackles again, but I think he's going to have an interception this week. I just feel like I think he maybe will have seen what happened with the Giants and maybe he wants to get his hands on the ball a little bit. I was talking to somebody at practice yesterday and we were watching him and the rest of the cornerbacks. And I was just like, I feel like he does not get enough credit for the impact that he has on this defense. I think he's like a sleeper back there, but he was one of those ones that really got a grasp of Flo's defense last year. And in year 2, I think it's just expanded from there. So my bold prediction is Byron Murphy will have another phenomenal game, but I think he's going to have an interception this week.
For me, my bold prediction, you know what? So I missed it on my receiver last week. I'm going to go Jalen Naylor 100 yards. Going big game from Jalen Naylor. I need one. I need one to hit. Let's go Jalen Naylor, 100-yard game, because we now know Jordan Addison probably is not playing. Most likely won't play. I guess he's out. I haven't looked at the injury report enough this week to know, but guessing he's out. I'm going Jalen Naylor, 100-yard game. I got to believe it's coming. This is the one. Like Jordan Addison, I think, had the big deep ball last time against the 49ers. Wasn't that game with the post? He took it from the guy and ran and scored.
Wiped it. Yeah.
So I'm going to put it on Speedy. Speedy Naylor will have that. Like that would be my guess on that one. So after our bold predictions, now it's time for our FanDuel locks. We got to get locked in on these locks. So I'm going to go around the horn. I'm going to start with you, Reggie. What FanDuel lock are you taking?
I'm going to take Aaron Jones, anytime touchdown scorer. Book it.
There you go again with the anytime touchdown scorers.
What are the odds on Aaron Jones? Let's see. We got plus 110. So about even money there for him to score a TD. Jordan Mason, minus 175. Interesting. I'm going to go with a passing prop, kind of piggybacking off of Reggie, thinking that Sam Darnold's going to have a big game. I'm going to go just a little more modest and say that Sam Darnold will throw for multiple touchdown passes in this game over the 1.5 that is set for him. And I get plus money, plus 144 for Darnold to go over that total. I just think that he's going to be forced to throw the ball for 4 quarters in this game. He had 2 TDs against the Giants in 2.5 quarters. And Kevin O'Connell's run-pass split was actually pretty favorable for the pass. Like, so maybe we thought that the Vikings would run the ball more, that they would try to mitigate, Sam Darnold and hide him a little bit. No, they didn't at all. I think they threw the ball like 60% of the time up until the middle of the third quarter when they just sat on it. But I'm going to go Darnold over 1.5 TDs.
I'm going also anytime touchdown scorer, but I'm going to go Jalen Naylor. It's plus 300. I would agree. I think especially if Jordan Addison doesn't play on Sunday, that's a pretty good one. If you're feeling extra spicy, I would say anytime touchdown scorer, Josh Oliver plus 650. They always give him at least one shot downfield. I feel like they're always going to, and you know what? It could be his week. So plus 650 if you're feeling spicy on that one. I'm a Josh Oliver Stan account. I could see it happening. It's going to happen at some point, but.
We've got Niners fans chirping us in the comments, by the way. What's up, Rick?
What are they saying?
I don't know. They're chirping Julia. They're chirping Reggie. They're chirping me. We love it. Keep it coming. We feed off.
Are they
that.
mad? What do they do? Are they mad about your picks about the anytime touchdown scorers?
Someone called us delusional.
Oh, okay. Because the 49ers, they think the 49ers are going to win. Okay.
Bang, bang, Niner gang. What's up?
Hey, it is what it is. They lost last year, and nobody expected the Vikings to beat them last year. Hey, this is why it's called football and not, I don't know what else you could call it. My lock, and I'm trying to get some pluses out of this. So I think this might be, this is the tough thing about it. The 49ers like to run the ball with their receivers. And so I kind of want to go Brock Purdy and Sam Darnold plus 250 because both are going to get you in the plus 140 range. But that's tough because they both could be like right at 200 with the running game. And so I'm going to go with 2 touchdown scores. Get you in the pluses. I'm going Aaron Jones, 2 touchdowns. I think he's going to get one on the ground and one in the air. I think he has that ability to do that. I think one on the ground, we know, and then either one in the air or they're going to get back down again to the red zone again. And Kevin O'Connell's going to want to make sure he's using his running back. So I'm going to go Aaron Jones plus 700, 2 touchdowns. And then I'm going to go anytime touchdown. I want to go first touchdown. I kind of want to get bold with this, but I'm going to go anytime. Jordan Mason. I think Jordan Mason gets 1, Aaron Jones gets 2. It's gonna be a running back duel between the two. It's gonna be a really good game. But I'm gonna go Aaron Jones 2, Jordan Mason 1. And so that's our FanDuel locks. Make sure you guys download the FanDuel app. If you're in Minnesota, people, literally just drive until you get close enough to Iowa. It'll switch over. There's a couple different directions you can go. It's about an hour-ish drive, hour and a half. certain directions, maybe 2 hours, and then you'll start to get the thing where you're in the area to be able to bet. So that's on FanDuel.com or the FanDuel app. You can also use /locked on, and you make sure you get in there and use that. Again, we're going to keep track of this. Now Julia's in, so she'll have her record next week. Also, make sure you guys download the SiriusXM app on the SXM app market. So SXM on the app market, whether it's Apple or Android, whatever your app market is, just search SXM, download the SiriusXM app. You get all of our shows. Just search Locked On Sports Minnesota, hit subscribe. You also can get the Twins hometown broadcast. So imagine being at the Twins game. You got your Bluetooth in. You get the Twins hometown broadcast on your phone as you watch the game, because maybe you want to get a little commentating going. Well, now you can get it. You can hear the commentators. You hear everything they got to say right there on the SiriusXM app. And now it's time for what I've been waiting for, the Gophers. I'm wearing a shirt for a reason, people. I got the ore behind me, and here's where I'm going. I'm keeping this real simple. What I'm expecting to see is another dominant performance from Max Brosmer. I want back Max Brosmer. We had Daniel Jackson on the show this week. I want to see a Daniel Jackson touchdown. He hasn't got there yet this year. We know Christian Driver is really good. Daniel Jackson on the Ron Johnson show, when I was on campus, he talked about Christian Driver having the pedigree, having the ability of what his dad has taught him, having the mindset. He's never had the opportunity at Penn State to play. Now he's getting a chance to play, and people are seeing he's really shifty in the slot. He's a really good, jet sweep type of guy. He's also out the backfield. He ran like the little shallow route out the backfield, and he's really good at that. One-on-one with the linebacker, nickel backs trying to cover him. But I want to see a Daniel Jackson touchdown. And then, of course, you look at Anthony Smith. You look at Ja Joyner. You look at Cody Lindenberg. You also have Justin Wiley. I need to see another Justin Wiley interception. Now, this is a different quarterback. Now, Nevada's quarterback is a true dual threat. He's a guy that can run. They were prepared last week because that quarterback was kind of a dual threat guy. So this Nevada guy, they throw the ball quick. He gets it out of his hands, but he also can run, and he can get you in a bad position if you don't play your game. So I think this is going to be a game where these defense ends have to really play smart. You cannot overrush him because he will beat you with his legs and his arm. This is a high-powered offense, but I think the Gophers should be able to do what they do, which is when you bring a team in like this, don't end up in like NIU versus Notre Dame. And that was great for PJ. He said he was able to show his players, hey, it doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't matter what you're ranked. Anybody can get beat, and that's what happened with Notre Dame. And so he wants his guys to know we don't want to end up like that next week. So go jumping over you, Julia. What do you want to see, or what are you watching for the Gophers-Nevada game this weekend?
I think Max Brosmer's really getting his footing, and I feel like he's getting more comfortable. PJ talked post-game about not only getting comfortable on the field, but also getting comfortable on the sideline and being a leader of this Gopher football team as a whole. And then Max also talked post-game about how it's not easy to come into a brand new place and then just try and take the reins and get everybody to believe in you. And that's something that he's worked on a lot. I mean, we know since day one, since his feet touched the ground in Minnesota. But I think it's only up from here for him, it seems like. If you compare week 1 to week 2, he just seems more comfortable in what he's doing and his decision-making skills on the field, but also just being more vocal on the sideline and being a leader when things go wrong, taking accountability while also having others take accountability. So for me, it's just I think we'll see another great game from Max Brosmer, if not a better game than what he had this past week, because I think that he's just kind of getting his footing finally. You can try and get your footing all you want through training camp and this, that, and the other, but it's not until the season starts that you can really kind of see what that preparation has done. And I think that he is starting to get a grip for his role on this team. So my prediction is, another great game from Max Brosmer.
Can someone tell me what happened to Nevada football? Like, wasn't this previously a very proud program?
Romeo Dubs went to the league, and their quarterback and their tight end. So they did lose. Like, they have 4 years of 3 great NFL players. All those guys are in the league now.
And it looks like they've changed coaches. Jay Norvell left, and then
the coach,
fell off a cliff. Ken Wilson went 2-10 back-to-back years, and now they have head coach Jeff Choate. And this season he has lost to SMU and Georgia Southern already. So, I mean, I think when you saw this game scheduled maybe a couple of years back, you might have said, oh, that's a decent, like, that's kind of a tough non-conference game. And I think it would have been, but it's probably not going to be now. I haven't actually checked the line. Gophers should win this by numerous possessions. I would like to see, I have high expectations. I would like to see 2 shutouts in a row. They shut out Rhode Island. Can they shut out Nevada? I would like to see it. I think this defense is legit good. Like we talked about sustainable things like we did in the first Vikings segment. I think the Gophers defense is really good. And hey, why stop at 2 shutouts? They play Iowa the week after that in primetime at home. Iowa has no offense. Can they shut out Iowa as well? Let's just shut everybody out. Am I being unrealistic? Probably. But let's keep this defense rolling, feeling good into conference play. I would take a couple 48-0 victories in non-conference heading into the Big Ten. I think that would maybe kind of reinstate some good feelings after the crushing North Carolina loss and maybe get the fan base pumped again for a big rivalry game against Iowa. This is all about momentum. This is all about how you're going to feel against the Hawkeyes the following week. So let's make sure that the vibes stay good.
Yeah. Was it a mild even surprise that Darius Taylor played, Ron?
No. I mean, it kind of was because we weren't sure, but PJ, this is one time he told the truth. Last week he said he was close, and PJ always says that, and we're like, okay, they're always close. But yeah, no, I think, and I said this. I said he was going to be on the pitch count on the pregame show. And so when in search pregame show, Gophers pregame show, we're live on TV for every Gophers game at 9 a.m. I said they're going to put him on a pitch count if he plays, and he literally, I think, was right at like 12 or 14 carries. And so the under 15 was right. That was a smart way to do it. Get him in, let him get a feel for it, and then get him out because it's, soft tissue injuries can flare up quick. But yeah, it was a little bit of a surprise just because of the opponent, but you don't want to go into, I think, Big Ten play as the first game is Iowa. So I think it might be a similar pitch count against Nevada, knowing that you have, I think he said like 8 running backs all got to touch the ball or some crap like that, or 8 guys caught the pass. Like it was a lot of like spreading the ball around.
Yeah. So I think just another game to get Darius Taylor's legs under him a little bit, get him in there, get some carries, get him out of there because some important games are coming. And then, as Julia said, I think it's just another opportunity for Max Brosmer to just get some more confidence playing at a different level. He talked about in that first game how maybe the lights were a little too bright. He was overwhelmed at the experience because it was the first experience that he's had at this level. And the more confidence that he builds playing some of these games with the Gophers, I think the better off the Gophers will be as they kind of step into, starting next week, some of the important games, especially in conference play. So continue to get him some confidence and all the reps, seeing a lot of different things, try some things out, just to see, how they fare. And I like what Sam said, just try to dominate, try to pitch another shutout against another bad team.
Well, when you think about what is up for the Gophers, we know Iowa got moved to a night game, 6:30 p.m. people. It is going to be litty. I think it's on NBC. I'm not sure, but I think so. Yeah. But it's going to be lit. It's going to be lit. The Gophers, I already talked to Daniel Jackson. I didn't want to lean them too much into it because I know PJ likes to keep stuff under the vest, but the Captain's Council has already kind of prepared their night game out uniform because they've already picked this game. This game's going to be an absolute gold out. Gold jersey, gold pants, gold helmet. If it was me, I go gold gloves. I go get some gold tape for my cleats. I would be completely gold net. And I'd have a picture of a gold member from Austin Powers on the back of my my shoulder pads, just to make sure so when I score, I pull it up and show people gold member. But or Beyonce in all gold. Either way, it's going to be a gold out. But for those that haven't seen Austin Powers, please just go see Austin Powers Gold Member. You'll understand. Beyonce was in that movie. For those youngins that are like, what, Beyonce movies? Yes, she was an actor at one point before she had Blue Ivy. But before we get into this, before we get out of here, we got to talk about the Twins. Will they win a playoff game this year? Can they be a playoff team this year? Julia, what'd you think?
Can we first talk about the pitcher that the Twins cut from their organization yesterday?
Yes.
Did you guys see the story?
We should talk about this. Is crazy. Go ahead, Julia. Lay it out.
Wild.
So this minor league, was it a pitcher or a catcher? It was a catcher, right?
Catcher, yeah.
He was telling the opposing teams, whoever's at bat, what pitch was coming because he didn't want to play any more baseball games this year. He wanted his team to be cut from playoff contention. He's this Coastal Carolina guy, 6th round pick. Derek Bender is his name. And apparently the guys from the opposing team went and told their manager that the catcher was telling them each pitch. And then that manager, after the game, went to this other manager. It was one of the Fort Myers teams that he was on.
The Mighty Muscles? Is that who it was?
I don't think it was it was the Mighty Muscles, wasn't it?
I think
They're
it was
single A. Yeah.
I think it was the Mighty Muscles. Great name.
He went down and he told, so the opposing team's manager went and told the Mighty Muscles manager, hey, your catcher was telling everybody what pitch was coming each time. And he got cut from the organization, rightfully so. But yeah, his excuse was he didn't want to play in the playoffs. He was done playing for the season. So he intentionally lost the game for them. So they got cut from playoff contention. I think they had 4 runs in 1 inning because of that. Yeah. So
it did end for him.
Yeah, ended his career. Like, what? It's so Bull Durham. It's hilarious. So yeah, I just thought we should talk about that for a second. The question is, if the Twins sneak their way into the playoffs, can they win a playoff game? If everyone's healthy, sure. That's the big thing right now is, hey, this list is lengthy of guys. I know Buck is back, but you still are missing quite a few large pieces to your puzzle. So it will all depend on, where Correa's at. And it's always a question of whether Royce will stay healthy or not. But I think that the biggest hump that they're trying to get over right now is the fact that they have a very long injury list. And that has to be taken care of when it comes to the playoffs. But maybe that's what they're holding out for. I don't really know. But yeah, I would say sure they can win a playoff game if they get in. They already broke the curse, so it's anybody's game at this point. But yeah, that's kind of where I stand with that. Is it's more of a health issue than anything else at this point.
I don't think I trust the pitching. I think that's my issue. They have so many guys who are out, Joe and Paddock, and you're like, okay, I think Simeon was good earlier in the year. He seems to be kind of fizzling a little bit. I think, maybe you could count on Bailey Ober. Pablo's been better the last couple months. So like maybe you can count on those guys, but I think the pitching just kind of scares you a little bit. And Correa says that he's trying to get the treatment that, he believes will bring him back to baseball soon, but we haven't seen the guy since before the All-Star break. So even if he does come back, you have to factor in just rust and not seeing live pitching and, all that I think is on the table. So that's kind of scary. I actually enjoy the fact that Royce has been healthy enough to go through a slump and healthy enough to try to hit his way out of the slump. That's actually, I don't know, maybe some people don't like to see that, but I'm cool with seeing that. Just because he's been available. Like the other night, he was out of the lineup. I think he just needed a day to breathe. Rocco was just like, hey, just calm down, man. And then, in the clubhouse, he's like, look, the Diamondbacks did it last year. Why can't we do it? We can go on a roll and do this. But I think, yeah, maybe they can go on a roll enough to, continue to hold off the Tigers. Sorry, Ron. And get into the postseason. But I just don't know based on, they were already coming into this year short-handed with not making very many moves, and things just kind of had to be perfect with this team. And then with all the injuries they faced and all the inconsistencies that they've had this season, especially over the last month, I just don't know that you trust them to win a series, but anything can happen, I guess.
Yeah, the Twins are getting in. I mean, the Tigers play the Orioles, Royals, and then Orioles their next 9 games. If the Twins go 500 in the final 16, the Tigers would have to go 12-4, and they're playing good baseball teams. Twins are going to get in. And they might limp in, they might back in, but they're going to get in to the playoffs. I'm glad that Buxton gets a 16-game ramp up here where he can actually get into a little bit of a lather and get some momentum. I hope that Correa gets a little bit of action in the regular season, assuming he comes back. I think he is such a battler, and I think he wants to like crazy. I'm of the belief that he's been waiting all this time just so he can be as healthy as possible in the postseason. I really hope that it amounts to something. So if they get the big 3, Lewis, Buxton, and Correa in the lineup in the postseason, and if you get peak Pablo in game 1 of a series, yeah, you could get out of the wild card round again. We don't know who the opponent's going to be, and it's very hard to predict. Could be Cleveland, could be Baltimore, could be New York. Maybe let's just avoid the Yankees and take our chances with Baltimore or Cleveland and see what happens. This is not the best Twins team I've ever seen. They're injured. They're inconsistent. They're hot and cold offensively, and I don't think they have a third starter. But baseball's random, and there's a lot of parity this year. So get in the tournament. I think they will, and roll the dice and try to get hot.
And when I think about baseball, I think you hit the nail on the head, Sam, with parity. Like when you think about baseball, same as softball. We always look at scores of softball games and college softball games, and anybody can beat anybody. That's why baseball, it's kind of similar. It's the pitching. The story about the catcher, by the way, that is absolutely wild. Like I can't believe you. Like it's almost like were you betting on? Like I could see Ohtani doing that, like asking catchers, like, "Hey, look, man, I got $1 million on this one. Tell me everything coming, and I got 100,000 for you." Like I just don't understand that. Like telling the team, like you want to quit that, just quit. Like just quit. Like just go fake an injury. Say you got like you could say your lower back hurts and there's nothing they could do about it. I learned that's an old veteran's trick. Say you have a lower back injury and there's nothing they could do about it. They're gonna keep icing it, and then you go out there act like you try to run. Oh no, it hurts. There's nothing they can do. They can MRI it, they can massage it, look at it. Acupuncture. There's nothing they could do. It's an old veteran's trick. That's why whenever I hear back injuries, I'm like, is this guy trying to get out of practice or is he for real? Dalton Reisner, for real. So we know. But TJ Hawkinson, it was money. But I'm Ron Johnson. That's Sam Extra. That's Julia Dan. That's Reggie Wilson. This has been the Locked On Sports Roundtable on a Friday. Make sure you guys tell people. Tell them we're here. We're really close to getting to our goal of subscribers on YouTube. When you go to YouTube, just hit subscribe. If you're logged in through your phone, it'll automatically log you in with the email address for your app market. But you can subscribe every time we go live. So if it's a postcast for the Gophers or the Vikings, you'll get the update that we're going live, and you can see our immediate reaction to the Vikings beating the 49ers on Sunday, and then the Gophers beating Nevada on Saturday, and Alabama crushing the Badgers. I've never seen a dead Badger, but you're going to see one on Saturday after Alabama leaves the field. It's going to be a dead Badger out there somewhere. But I'm Ron Johnson. Again, this has been the Roundtable on Locked On Sports Minnesota. Thank you guys. Have a great weekend.